Hello everyone, hope everyone is doing well. This is Gus here at CrossFit Glorified with questions and answers. And this week, what we have for you was a question that's come up a couple of times in regards to programming. It's not the first time that individuals ask how programming is done here at the box or how I program the classes here at CrossFit Glorified. So I want to kind of discuss that and go over it. One thing is for sure, routine is the enemy. And that's a common theme that you hear in CrossFit. And I think that's not just in reference to putting something together and doing whatever you want every single day and not repeating something. So we just kind of get workouts and pick them out of a hat and say, here, this is what we're just going to decide to do and do whatever, just random things. It really quite is not like that. And if that was the case, and if that was the argument, you can just do whatever you want every single day and not actually plan anything out. If that was the case, then I don't think there would be so much selling of programming. But right now, if you look at the CrossFit industry, everyone is selling their programming because programming does mean a lot, especially as the sport has evolved over time. Especially for top athletes and individuals who want to go further in the sport of CrossFit. That is, they want to go to the Open, they want to go to regionals, and maybe hopefully make it to the games. I think programming plays a huge role from that aspect, and also from the aspect of your box and the community you have and the individual athletes. Now that's where I think we come from here at CrossFit Glorified, and what my belief is that you're going to cater to the individuals you have. I can't create programs the same as I had the regular Joe come in. And for example, if my athletes were Rich Froning, Ben Smith, Josh Bridges, Camilo Blanc, and a bunch of these top athletes came into my box every single day and worked out at my box, the program would be different. And of course, the argument might be, well, that's you could just scale workouts. Absolutely, you can just scale any workout and anyone can do it. That is very true. But there's one factor. If you're, for example, RX weight, let's talk about that for a second. For some of those top athletes, and their snatches would start at 225 and above, and we had no one else in the box that can do it. That would be a little discouraging if someone's saying 65 pounds and say, how can I get there? But as a coach, if I know my top athlete in our box can only snatch, let's say just 100, just giving this as an example, then you know you can average it from there. And if you snatch 55, it's more realistic to get in 100. And you can change those numbers as years go by and as your athletes have evolved and excel in the sport of CrossFit. So you have to look at these things when you're programming. For me, the most important thing is programming from the individuals we have in our box. One of the main goals is GPP, General Physical Preparedness. I want to prepare people for the everyday life. That's the goal. And I think for most CrossFitters, that's the goal. You go to CrossFit and you work out. We want people to have good lives and enjoy themselves, what they do every day. If they're a grandmother, they can enjoy their grandchildren. If they're a father, they can play with their children more. If they're a mother, they can have more energy to be able to do activities with their kids, and so on and so on. If they're just the working man who goes out there and is a painter, a construction worker, can have better performance at his job and not feel beat up if he lays tile all day, or if he's on the roof putting shingles, that he could feel or she can feel physical better because of the training that they're doing. So that's one of the things that I specifically look at. Well, who do I have in my box, and how can I have everyone gradually who's been coming excel in their fitness? How can we make it safe? How can we make it where it works their GPP every single day? And how do you form a community around that? How does everyone there feel welcome in that environment? Especially when you have individuals come who are new to CrossFit. How can they fit in with the workouts that are being programmed every single day? So programming is definitely key. How do you go about programming? And that's the next part that I want to talk about. How do you go about programming? There's different factors. Not like you just come on together and say, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and so on and so on. And we definitely, like we said, routine is the enemy. But let me explain that a little bit about routine as the enemy. When I used to lift weights at a regular conventional gym, when I was in my teens and in my 20s and my 30s and so on, damn, I'm getting old, man. Anyways, when I was that age and I went to the regular gym, I had a routine. Routine seemed to be what was going to be good. So, for example, Mondays, I remember you would do your 20 minutes, 30 minutes on the treadmill or your elliptical or whatever machine. And then you would go ahead and do your tris and your chest, for example, your buys and shoulder, leg day one day with abs and so on. And you broke that up. And it was a routine. I had a nice little routine. My Monday, Tuesday, the Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday, hit those body parts. And you just repeat it over and over and over. Obviously, that's a lot of routine. And everyone's routine might have been a little different, but it played with those body parts. Well, in CrossFit, we look at body parts as well, but it's completely different. I mean, someone asked me, do you guys ever work out your calves? And I'm thinking, See, the difference is that I don't isolate a specific muscle like I used to. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying that for the benefits of what I want, GPP, it's better not to isolate specific muscles. So I don't do it anymore. And when the programming comes, I look at it and we're not necessarily isolating a muscle. Instead, we're doing functional movements, a functional or natural functional movement that you'll use everyday life. You know, if I was to pick up a couch, you know, I'm not going to sit there and use the hamstring machine that goes like this and say, I'm going to help you move your couch. I'm going to kind of like pick it up like this because that's just not natural movement to pick up a couch, right? Or I'm not going to get the fly. And fly machine is good. It gets your pecs nice, you know, for the beach. You go like this and you squeeze that thing and you squeeze the pecs real nice. But for everyday life, I don't tell females to pick up their bags. And you don't see females in the supermarket. They're just not going like this with their bags. So the reality of it is that you have to program natural functional movements. I like to watch my toddler and the things that my toddler does because she squats perfectly. It's a nice natural movement. Her lunges are amazing. The way she rolls around is amazing. The way she lifts her arms above her head and it looks like a straight path right from the squat position as she comes up. It's amazing. Very nice natural movements that you have. And that's what we're looking at in CrossFit. Look at those natural movements, first of all. What are they? And we want to work them all the time into our programming. So we don't isolate the muscle. We do more of a functional movement, a natural movement in what we program every single day. Now, we're going to see how a workout looks and how we plan so that your GPP gets better. So one of the things I got to look at every single week and every single month and when I'm planning is what has been done and then what needs to be done in regards to movements. CrossFit has 9 essential movements that you have that we study in the level 1. And you want to make sure you're hitting those movements. But above that, there's also Olympic lifting movements. There's gymnastic movements, and there's a lot of different movements that you do. So you have your weightlifting movements, you have your gymnastic movements, and then you have M, which is metabolic conditioning, right? And you want to make sure that with the metabolic conditioning, you're hitting 3 different energy systems that we have boards that you can see in our box that explain those energy systems. And that's one of the things I look at. Say, okay, let me see the energies that we've used. Has this been an anaerobic and aerobic workout? You look at that and you make sure you're changing that on a daily basis so your body doesn't get used to just a specific thing, but instead its adaptation is not to a certain thing, but it's ready for anything at any moment. So that's very important from that perspective. And then you're looking at gymnastic. What have we covered? What have we done? How can I program that? Am I programming too much of it where it's going to hit a certain muscle group or muscle groups that is going to fatigue you and then maybe cause injury? So you have to look at things as well as that. You also got other things in regards to how does this workout look? Is it going to be a time workout? Is it going to be a task-oriented workout? And you have to change those things around as well. A time workout, a task-oriented workout, and make sure you're getting a change in regards to that. So see, there's different things that you're looking at in regards to programming. You're also looking at body muscle groups as well. You know, have we, for example, done so much in the leg or the shoulder area repeatedly every single day that you can be like, that area is really fatigued and something's going to go eventually? Because listen, if you do something enough, eventually something's going to go. There has to be recovery for particular muscle groups. There has to be time that your body rests from that. By doing other muscle groups, that part can rest, and you can do that by necessarily not necessarily eliminating that you're using that body part, because like I said, we don't isolate our muscles. But what you can do is one specific group, like your legs, can be harder on one day and your shoulders less, and another day your shoulders can be more, for example, and your legs less. So you can do it that way as well. So there's a lot that goes into programming and being able to make sure that the athletes are getting what they need. In regards to looking at an overall picture, I sit there and look at the individuals and how they're progressing as a group. Amazing thing to me is that we're about 3 years into this now. I think this might be our fourth Open. The first Open, I had just become an affiliate. I believe, let me see, 2014, 15, 16, 17, yeah. And it was only 2 athletes in our box. We had just literally, we got our affiliate was like right at the Open. When it started, we got accepted as an affiliate. So we said, let's do the Open. And really at that time, we had a small group and 2 individuals, myself, my brother-in-law decided to do it. So over the years, we've evolved to where we have probably 30 athletes doing it this year. And the interesting thing is the second year, 2015, a couple more athletes joined. In 2016, a couple more, and now it's going to be 2017. And what I notice has happened is the athletes that joined 2 years ago have almost evolved. The ones that have been consistent, have been coming here, have evolved together. And you can see that their numbers are very close together. So the programming has worked. They started with a certain amount of numbers they can get. And this year they have even been better, and it tells me that they've all grown together, which is awesome. And then you got another group I've noticed behind that, and they're also in there, and you can see them progressing through it. So now I'm looking at one group. These guys are up here. They've excelled a lot more, this group's in the middle, and then we have a starting group. And you have to be able to program according to these top athletes where you challenge them, the next group, and then the lower group. And that's the way I look at every single day. For that, we have red, green, and blue. If you notice, sometimes in the programs, you'll see red, you'll see a green, and you'll see a blue. And the red will be more for those who are at the higher tier, and then the green will be for the middle, and then the blue would be for those who are starting. Are using similar body groups, they're hitting the same energy systems, they're going to get the same benefits from range of motion and for the body parts they're going to hit, but everyone is being challenged differently so they can continue to grow. So as the box grows, the programming is going to change. It becomes different for the athletes as we continue to move. I look at the Open as an indicator. I think a lot of people do that. For me, it's important. I think the Open is a good test of fitness, and testing your fitness is very important to see progression. So as the Open comes, now we're doing more Open workouts that were in the past on Monday and Fridays, getting ready for that, preparing more for that. Not necessarily getting ready because we're already ready. We do CrossFit 5-6 times a week. You're ready for it. But just getting a feel of those workouts and how they feel and what they are. But before that, if you remember, we went through a session where we were doing some benchmark workouts, and before that, we were doing hero workouts in here that we were sneaking into our regular program that we did. I always believe that a lot with benchmark workouts, you just can't have benchmark workouts every day. It's my opinion, unless the individuals are at that level. Because once you scale a benchmark workout, well, it's not that workout anymore. If you scale Fran, it's not longer Fran, it's Fran-E maybe. It's not Fran. You got a little bit, you're scaling that. So we want to take the original number, build athletes to that original number, saying they can hit these benchmark workouts at what the recommended formula is. And when you're there, you can program a lot more of that in your box. There's also seasons that you have to build strength. So there's a program in that you'll notice, you'll be like, man, this month and these 2 months, these 3 months that we've been really, it seems like we're just lifting a lot. We're not doing as much metabolic conditioning. Well, the reason for that is I want to be able to build your strength. So I'm building your strength. Let's say the Open finishes and no one in our box made it to regionals, or someone did, depends. Then we're going into a strength cycle to build some strength up. During those months 1, 2, and 3, technique and skill, you'll notice a lot involved in there as well. And then you'll notice a mixture of that strength getting mixed in with a lot more metabolic conditioning. And then as we get closer to the Open, you'll notice these labs would have been doing hitting longer duration of metabolic conditionings that we can get in the 20-minute range and so on and so on. Why? We won't see 20-minute workouts. Maybe we'll see one, but majority of them will be about 10 minutes and under. But we're preparing that engine for what you're going to get hit with. So the Open is a good indicator on what I base my year-round programming here at CrossFit Glorified. And the athletes. Those are my main 2 indicators. I also believe a lot in studying the methodology and things that are out there from various coaches. So I do my research and see what other boxes are doing. See what the main website at CrossFit is doing, the stuff they're doing, and see what they do on a daily basis, and see where we can get information from that. Do I believe in just using someone else's program? I think you could. I think at some point, if my box and my athletes are there, I can start looking more at different programmings that are out there and be like, we're just going to follow this particular program from this company that's designed workouts, and we're just going to follow it. Right now, I don't believe our athletes, we're there as a box yet to follow specific as a community where we're at here at CrossFit Glorified to do that. Not that we can't do it and not that the programming is not good. It's just that what we're doing right now for what we have, I believe, is the best avenue as a coach, as an individual who's looking at the athletes in our box every single day to know exactly what's better for you. So, like I said, a lot goes into programming. There's definitely different things. It's not like just pulling something out of a hat wild and kind of going with it. There's a thought process that goes into it. And we want to make sure that we're doing it right. Another thing I track is injuries. Who's getting injured? Why are they getting injured? What's causing an injury? Did they have an old injury and they're irritating? Is it really a soreness or an injury? And those things are being kept in mind too to follow what it is. If I have 3 or 4 athletes in a month and they got shoulder injuries, I got to look back at my program and say, wait, hold on. They all got the same exact issue. They're all complaining about something's going on here. So you got to step back and kind of look at the overall picture. I hope that answers a lot of questions in regards to programming here at CrossFit Glorified. We'll see you next week with our next session. We got a lot to cover next week. And we're going to be talking about, like I said, answering questions. There have been a couple of good ones coming in. There's some stuff talking about the open I'm going to talk about that people have been asking. People have also been asking about some gymnastic movements. I might start doing some videos and showing front lever position, muscle ups, strict muscle ups, and kind of just performing myself so you guys can see them. Handstand walks have become pistols. Kind of just show you a couple things you can do in regards to that. That might help you. There's a lot of stuff out there in the internet. I tell people, I mean, for me to go do it, that's fine. I would love to for you guys, but there is so much stuff out there. I mean, it's overwhelming, the kind of stuff. It's even sometimes confusing. You watch the internet and someone is teaching a bar muscle up somewhere and some other guy saying, no, you do this step and that step, and the steps are all completely different from one another. Never mind Olympic lifting. Are you kidding me? The videos on Olympic lifting will drive you insane. He said, well, I just heard someone saying, you hit the pull from the second pull from this position, you do this, you do that, and you're like, but the other person saying something completely different. So only thing I would say with the internet, it's good, it's a lot of information. Be careful. You got to find what works for you in regards to certain things. Talk to your coaches. See you next time. Have a good one.